Hello. I wanted to talk today about something that I built out in Excel using Power Query, which lets you download the Excel files out of QuickBooks Online and copy paste them. And then your output is a cash flow dashboard showing you daily and weekly totals by categories that you can set up based on your personal preferences. So I'm going to do a really quick and high level walkthrough. We're not going to get into any of the formulas or any of how the Power Query backend is working. And we're going to very briefly talk about some of the logic, but a lot of that will be left out as well. This is mainly just showcasing a actual run of what would happen when you import the data. So with all of that, let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that we want to do is enter our different values for our start date, as well as the number of days we want to forecast in the future. Then we'll determine whether we want to use a overridden manual beginning cash balance or let the report calculate it from our QuickBook Online details. In this situation, we are using the QuickBooks Online test company. So we are going to manually override the beginning balance because it's not really connected to any bank accounts. And so this will just give us a better actual view of them having some starting capital to work with rather than being at a negative number. So after that, we would go through our QuickBooks reports, and I have them all pulled up, but I will walk through them one by one. We're going to start with our transaction detail by account report. You can see here, this is just the export from QuickBooks. So we just copy and we're pulling in everything. We scroll down all the way to the bottom, pulling in our total rows, even pulling in this accrual basis and pulling in all of these rows as well. So we're just grabbing everything except for the headers because we already have them, and we're excluding these rows as well. And we're just going to paste it in here. It's going to take a little bit longer to paste just because of the Power Query running kind of in the back end, but it's still a very quick update. So while that's loading, the next one is the account list, or this is your chart of accounts. So the purpose, there it is. Let's see if we'll actually, there we go. So this is our chart of accounts. Mainly what we're wanting to do is grab all of the cash accounts that we have from this chart of accounts. That way it's flexible and it will get the correct information to build out our dashboard. That one will load here. And then we have currently added in all of our current up to date of running the report or the current day transactions. But we also, since we're building out a forecast, we want to have future transactions. So that's where this AP and AR aging reports come in. So we have just added in our AR aging report there. And now let's grab the last piece, which is our AP aging report. We've got those. And then outside of those two reports, there is one final piece that I wanted to call out, which is the recurring transactions in QuickBooks Online. What we have, unfortunately, is a situation where we can't get an Excel output of that detail for whatever reason. So it has to be a PDF. Thankfully, Power Query doesn't care and can turn that into a table easily. And so that's what we have here. Again, I'm not going to walk through the exact ways that you would link that PDF to Power Query, but it's a very straightforward process. And this is just another way to populate, again, our future data. That way our forecast is considering all the applicable information and giving us the best details that we can. But since we have all of our QuickBooks data now imported or connected, we will hit this refresh all button. and it will take a second to go ahead and update our dashboard. So I'll talk about some of the other manual setup items. These are more of one-time situations where you would do it the first time the file is created, or the first time it's being used for a company, and then you have it going forward. So right here is our accounts that we're assigning a specific category. Again, this is just for more organized viewing on the dashboard. If you really wanted to, you could set up the dashboard so it's showing you just the account name and the inflows and outflows, but it's more helpful to group those into similar account types, give them a category, and then show all of the detail by category. So that's what we're doing here. We've got our QuickBooks Online account name, we've given it a category, and we've determined whether this is a cash inflow account or a cash outflow account. We kind of already looked at this page talking about our recurring transactions, but these tables over here are manual inputs as well. This one is set up to include all QuickBooks Online recurring transaction types that are available as of creation of this workbook. And it should be set up in a way that it works for any company. But again, if any of this needed to be changed for a specific situation, it is very easy to do so. And then the last manual input in this section is right here. We're just basically making a copy of all of our recurring transaction. They're called template names in QuickBooks Online, and we're giving them a category. That way, we're making sure that those recurring transaction pieces flow into exactly where we want to see them on the dashboard. We do have a catch-all category called uncategorized. So that makes sure that we have the most accurate information. And you'll see here our dashboard has updated with our information. Let me double check here. Mhm. ARAP. Yep, so we've got our dashboard updated with our information. We see our beginning balance is that 5,000 we hard coded manually. And it's showing us our summary of total inflows, total outflows, net change for the week in this current setup. But we can also expand it. And now we have a daily transaction view. And again, because this is a test company, there's not a ton of information coming through. You can see it's mainly centralized in these 2 weeks here. But it's just kind of showing hopefully somewhat of the detail that you would be able to see. We also have some QA checks. So again, I mentioned this uncategorized category being the catch-all, so that we're making sure that all of the transaction data is being recorded, even if we haven't set up a category for it, because we want to make sure that we're getting the most accurate ending balances from this cash workbook so that we have good information to make decisions off of. But we have a report that will show you all of those different transactions or accounts that are currently flowing through the uncategorized. So if you would like to give them a category, then that is doable. And then the last thing I want to show is we can also adjust the number of business days that it will display in the forecast. So if we wanted a shorter view, just 6 weeks out, we can now adjust that and see only the 6 weeks upcoming from our start date. I know this is in the past, but again, that's just because of the nature of the QuickBooks test file. That's when the data they had available was. And so that's the time frame we're looking at. But if we wanted to have that longer view, we could then change to 60. We would have a 12-week view. 90, we would have a 18-week view. And then another thing to note is you can add in additional inflow and outflow categories or remove different categories. So if we had any unused categories, for example, in our outflows, we don't currently have anything going through utilities. So if we wanted to just remove that from this view because it doesn't have any activity or we're not using it anymore, we want to call it something else, When we update our categories here, if we were to delete this and then refresh our dashboard again, this utilities line, once it refreshes, should be gone. And that works for both adding and deleting. So if you want to add in more categories, and there it is, the utilities line is gone, everything is still flowing through correctly. But yeah, so if you wanted to add or delete any inflow or outflow categories as you're going, it's really easy. You just go into your accounts map, add in the account, add in the category, make sure it has the flow, and then you'll very quickly have your updated dashboard. So hopefully this was helpful, gave you an idea of something that could be done in Excel to give a lot more detail than QuickBooks provides in its default cash flow reports, showing you everything by day, by the categories that you want to see it. And yeah, thank you for taking the time to watch this video. And again, hopefully it was helpful to you.